Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah ala ni'matul islami wa kafa biha ni'ma. All praise and gratitude be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on his blessing of Islam, which suffices as a blessing. So we are now going to start the 21st para and we'll do half of this, and we are at Surah Ankaboot. We did up to ayat number 44. Inshallah we'll begin with 45 and then complete that, and then also go to do Surah Rum and part of Surah Luqman. Now Ankaboot, as I mentioned last time, it means a spider. We looked at an ayat relating to that last session that we had. Now let's just begin with ayat number 45. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Utlu ma uhiya ilayka minal kitabi wa aqimus salah. Inna salata tanha anil fahsha'i wal munkar. Wala zikrullahi akbar wallahu ya'lamu ma tasna'un. In the name of Allah, the most beneficent, the most merciful, recite what has been revealed to you of the book and establish salah. Surely salah restrains one from shameful and evil acts. Indeed, remembrance of Allah is the greatest of all things. Allah knows what you do. So this is an ayat which is really addressed to our Prophet, and in a way addressed to all of us, that first and foremost we must read this book. It says over here, recite what has been revealed to you. So this is almost like a hukum being given to people, that they must first read this book and then spread it, recite it to other people over there. Because why first yourself read? As you can you can imagine, the very first word in Quran was Iqra, read, because when you're calling people towards deen, you have twofold responsibilities. First and foremost is that Quran must also affect your own heart. Your own heart must be influenced by the beauty and the majesty of Quran. Because clearly if a person is not fully convinced internally, he will not be able to have that ring of sincerity in him, and hence it will be a challenge to convey this book. Next is to spread it in a most beautiful manner, not as a burden but as ihsan. Everything for which touches Quran, or everything that is related to Quran, must be the best. The best facilities, the best resources, the best time that you have, the most conducive environment. Then this is very important. This ayat also say, Inna salata tanha anil fahsha'i wal munkar. It's almost like giving saying this is always true. That surely salat restrains you. It stops you from shameful and evil deeds. So if our prayers are the prayers of which are accepted, the effect of this would be that it would stop us from shameful and evil acts. Now if this is not happening, that if people continue to pray and yet they continue to indulge in fahsha and munkar, things which are shameful and things which are evil, then they need to look at the quality of the prayer. Because why is this happening? Because Quran says that when people are praying, it will stop them from these things. So we need to look at the quality of the prayers and see what's the problem with our prayers, that we are not being stopped from the fahsha and the munkar. Do not debate with people of the book unless it is in the best manner, except with those of them who commit injustice, and say we believe in what was sent down to us and what was sent down to you, and our God and your God is one, and to him we submit. So people of the book being described over here, they are not ignorant people. They have been given guidance through revealed book, like we have been given guidance through revealed book. And there is a lot of commonality between Islam and the other revealed religion. So therefore when you speak to them with knowledge. Look at the common grounds, that your God and our God is one God, and we are only submitting to him. Now one who is knowledgeable, I think the word of caution over here also, that some people who are knowledgeable, they always tend to be a lot more skeptical, right? And as a result, it's difficult to convince them. So therefore we need to get our facts right. We need to have a very good grip on our own book before we can actually start to preach to them. And thus we have sent down the book to you, so those to whom we have given the book believe in it, and of these there are those who believe in it, and none denies our revelations except the disbelievers. So in this is the manner in which we can influence them through Quran. We are really so lucky. We are really so lucky that we have a book which is untainted, which can be read and recited in gatherings. I don't know if you have ever read Bible. If you do get a chance, please do go through the Bible. There are portions of Bible which you actually cannot read in gatherings. And these are the portions because these are the parts which have, where additions have been made by human beings. These are not words of Allah, but there are portions of Bible which are very much close to what Quran's revelations are. But there are some portions which are really terrible. But if you look at Quran from first page to the last page, this is Ahsanul Hadith. This is the best narrative. And even today, when you are looking at people who are becoming Muslims from different religions, from Christianity, Judaism, as well as atheists and all that, they're not becoming Muslims by seeing Muslims, because we are really not setting the kind of example that is worth following. But they are becoming Muslims because they are reading this book, they are reading the Quran. You have never been reciting any other book before this, nor have you been writing it with your right hand. Had it been so, the advocates of falsehood would have raised doubts. So prophets are not writers of the books, right? None of the prophet wrote the book. Today people use this argument that there's nothing new in this book. When they read Quran, they say there's nothing new over here. Now, I think what we really need to think and ponder on is that how can a man who can neither read nor write, like our Prophet ﷺ, produce such a blazing literature which has got such consistent view, which has no contradiction, which has no inconsistency, which has no conflict inside, revealed over such a long period of time. But these are clear revelations in the hearts of those who are given knowledge, and no one rejects our verses except the wrongdoers. And Quran says this is such a treasure. Quran is such a treasure that its position is not in the lifeless pages. Quran is not just in the lifeless pages that we have in form of the book of Quran. The real place of Quran, as Quran says over here, is these are clear revelation in the hearts of those who have been given us. So the real position of Quran is in the hearts of the reader. And this is the reason why there are so many people who learn and who recite this book and repeatedly recite and never get bored with it. And they say, why is it not that no sign has been sent down upon him from his Lord? Say signs are only from Allah, and I am just a plain warner. These great signs and revelations of Quran which are there, they're all over the place. If people don't really look at these, and they accept, well, they will accept nothing else. This is the skeptical attitude that some people have who also become agnostics. Is it not sufficient for them that we have sent down to you the book that is being recited to them? Surely in it there is mercy and advice for a people who believe. So people fear that Quran will make their lives difficult. And as a result, sometimes they have the attitude, it's best not to hear this book at all. But Quran, when it's applied practically in one's life, one recognizes what a mercy this book is, how it will improve the quality of our life. Sometimes we look at these great slogans, but in practice they are real disappointment. Look at the slogan of freedom of expression. It's a great slogan, there's no doubt about it, but when you look at it, it practically is quite unnerving, freedom of expression. On the other hand, when you look at Quran, when it's applied in life, one discovers what a great mercy it is. It approaches life in a very practical, very pragmatic manner. But for that, what one has to do is one has to live by it. Then you will really discover, as Quran says, that it's a mercy and advice for the believers. First, one has to start to act on it. Say, Allah is enough as a witness between me and you. He knows what is in the heavens and the earth, and those who believe in falsehood and disbelieve in Allah, those are the losers. So false theories, these are just creation of media, the false notion, the idealistic versions that are there. And it's amazing how people believe in them. I don't know if you have ever reflected on what Darwin said or what Freud said or what Karl Marx said and all these things. A lot of them are false theories, right? But people so strongly believe in them, and whereas Quran, which actually gives nothing but the best, people just are skeptical about it. They ask you to hasten the punishment. Had it not been the appointed time, the punishment would have come to them. It will surely come to them suddenly while they do not perceive. Now everything Quran says is according to a timetable. This is not a farmaishi program that when people demand punishment, punishment should descend upon them. Things happen when the time is there. It's not according to the demands of the crowd. They ask you to bring punishment soon, while the Jahannam is surely going to encompass the believers. So the believers are really surrounded from all sides, although they may not perceive it, but completely they are being surrounded by that, by the Jahannam. On the day when punishment will envelop them from above them and from under their feet, and he will say, taste what you used to do. So all the sugar coating of sins will dissolve on that day. The bitter reality will become evident to the transgressors. Honestly, hell is actually inside people. Each one of us, hell is inside us. The fire which people are collecting by sinning will actually just on the day of judgment will come into open. Every sin that people do is buying a piece of hellfire for himself. So that hellfire is really collecting inside with every sin that is being committed. O my servants who believe, surely my earth is vast, so me alone you must worship. Now these ayahs were revealed very close to the time of Hijrat. It's really preparing the Muslims that if you cannot practice Islam in Makkah, then the world is vast. Go do Hijrat. Go do Hijrat to a place where you can actually implement this deen in totality. Kullu nafsin zaiqatul maut, thumma ilayna turja'un. Every person has to taste death, and then to us you are to be returned. Now this is a fact that none can deny, kullu nafsin zaiqatul maut, that this is something none can deny, that death is undeniable. One of the fears that stop people from hijrat and from also doing other righteous deeds is death. This is something that stops people in hijrat particularly. It stops them because they have a fear of death. Quran reminds that one day you have to taste death. This is something no one can escape, not even the prophets. So leave and do hijrat to the next world. That you have to do. So do hijrat while you are living, while we are still living, by doing hijrat, that we leave everything that Allah dislikes and move towards everything that He likes. That's our hijrat. That's our real hijrat. As for those who believe and do righteous deeds, we shall accommodate them in mansions of paradise beneath which rivers flow, where they will live forever. How excellent is the reward of the workers. So one who leaves his home and does hijrat purely for the sake of Allah, Quran says his reward is nothing but Jannat. All sins are forgiven, and these are the rewards for protecting this deen. Who are patient and place their trust in their Lord alone. Now if people cannot do hijrats from such societies where they find it difficult for them to practice their deen, then Quran also inculcates to them, do sabr on trials and do sabr on temptation and remain steadfast. And how many a living creature there is that does not carry its provision? Allah gives provision to it as well as to you, and He is the all-hearing, the all-knowing. Now people often complain that sometimes they don't do hijrat from the land of kufr to Islam because there are no opportunities in Muslim countries. We need to have faith that whatever is there in my kismat, in my taqdeer, I'm going to get it. Allah will provide. And also this ayat in any case is a response to the temptation of corruption, that Allah provides risk to every living creature. None of these creatures is actually carrying its risk on its back. He gives provision to every creature, and as a result He's also going to give provisions to you. Do not be frightened. And if you ask them as to who has created the heavens and the earth and subjugated the sun and the moon, they will certainly say Allah. Then how are they turned away? The power and the might of Allah, that's being described over here. Simple question being asked over here, common observation. No one can say that it's the heavens and the earth is being driven by or controlled by the peer or the priest or the boss or the deity, that any one of them has any say in this. Allah extends provisions to whom He wills from His servants and constricts for Him. Surely Allah knows everything well. So Allah has all the treasures, and I think that's where we need to have firm faith. Why should we deprive people of their rights? Why should we take more than our due share? All treasures are from Allah. Allah gives according to a due measure. Some He gives more, some He reduces the provision. He knows best the reason, but we must also be sure that this is for our own good. And if you ask them as to who sends down water from the sky, then revives the land with it after its death, they will certainly say Allah. Say praises for Allah. Most of them do not understand. So water coming down, this rain cycle, these are all works of Allah. But praise is when existence of Allah is first acknowledged. That's the first and foremost thing about praise. First we have to acknowledge existence of Allah. So signs of His presence are before us. Those who firmly believe in His existence will in turn be thankful to Him. The life of this world is nothing but an amusement and a play. And as for the home of the hereafter, that is life, only if they knew. So this world, no doubt, it's a very absorbing place. One gets committed and one gets over busy over here, over involved in it. And the cure for this is that we must remember that there is a life to come, which is the life of the hereafter, which is the life of forever. So the cure of this world is knowledge and a reminder of the eternal life that is just around the corner. So when they embark on a ship, they invoke Allah, having their faith purely in Him. But when He saves them and brings them to the land, in no time they start committing shirk, which means ascribing partners to Allah. So when things are good, then all praise goes to our own effort. It was our decision, our thinking, our planning, or maybe a mehrbani of someone else that we say. But when distress comes, when anxiety comes, when fear comes, everyone, even the atheists, turn their attention to the Creator. Many times you've seen these, flight crashing, and people just before that, even if they don't believe in, they will be calling, oh my God, oh my God. So everyone turns his attention to the Creator. Thus becoming ungrateful for what we gave to them, let them have some enjoyment, then they will soon come to know. So kufr is that people do not even acknowledge the one who has given all the ni'mats. This is a great kufr, that all the ni'mats that we have, we don't even acknowledge it. And further kufr on kufr is that people use these ni'mats that Allah has given against the one who has actually provided them. Did they not see that we have made a peaceful sanctuary, haram, while other people around them are being snatched away? Do they still believe in falsehood and reject the grace of Allah? This part of this ayat is such a beautiful part. أَفَبِالْبَاطِلِ يُؤْمِنُونَ وَبِنِعْمَةِ اللَّهِ يَكْفُرُونَ. That they still believe in all this batil and falsehood, and they reject the ni'mats of Allah. They do kufr of the ni'mats of Allah. This is a question being asked over here. It's kind of an open question or an exclamation mark after that. First part of this ayat is really addressed to the kuffar of Makkah. They look at the peace in this sacred city of Makkah. The caravans are safe, the business is good, the peace is there in the surrounding. And the reason for this is that people always regarded Makkah as a sacred place and fighting was prohibited. And then the second part of this ayat talks about afabil batili yu'minun, that things about all the ni'mats that Allah has given, we need to focus on them rather than focusing on the batil and on the falsehood. Who is more unjust than the one who forges a lie against Allah or rejects the truth when it comes to him? Is there not a home in hell for the disbelievers? So the greatest lie is that Allah has appointed intermediaries who take our supplication, or who take the supplication and prayers of the people to Allah. This is the greatest lie that is there. وَالَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا فِينَا لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلَنَا وَإِنَّ اللَّهَ مَعَ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. And as for those who strive in our way, we will certainly guide them to our ways. And indeed, Allah is with those who are good indeed. So this is such a consolation when you look at this part of this ayat. وَإِنَّ اللَّهَ مَعَ الْمُحْسِنِينَ, that Allah is with those who do good in deeds. That the first part of this ayat is it's a promise. This is a firm promise of Allah. As for those who strive in our way, we will certainly guide them to our way. This is a promise. And Allah's promise is always true. Our job is just to strive. As this ayat says, وَالَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا. We need to just strive. Our job is to strive. Allah will open ways for people who truly want to come to the straight path. And this struggle is also what you call is our personal jihad. With this, we now start the next surah, which is Surah Rum. And as the word Rum means, it's the city under the Byzantine. This is also a Makkan surah. It's a short surah, means 1 to 60 ayahs. There are historical events which are mentioned as a sign that Quran is a revealed text and not the work of man. At the time when Islam, at the time of the advent of Islam, in the earlier times, there were two superpowers at that time, the Byzantine Empire and the Persian Empire. The Byzantine was, ruled over territories which are adjacent to Arabia, which is close to Makkah, Jordan, Syria, Palestine. But they were overpowered by the Persian in the year 615 AD. And the Persian actually conquered Palestine, not only Palestine, but they also conquered Jerusalem. And this is the year when Muslims were also going through massive persecution in Makkah. Muslims were migrating from Habsha from Makkah, and that also took place in the same year, which is 615 AD, the time when Jerusalem fell to the Persian. Now, certain predictions are made in the initial verses. Please remember, the Persians were more aligned to the kuffar of Makkah because they were pagans and they believed in various deities, while the Byzantines were the Christians and they were more kind of aligned to the Muslims. And as you know, the Christians were the early supporters of Muslims also in Habsha. Now, as Jerusalem was conquered by the king of Persia and Heraclius was defeated, the kuffar of Makkah were absolutely delighted. So they thought that this whole thing about having one deity, one god is just something which is non-attainable. So let's just begin. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, the most beneficent, the most merciful. Alif Lam Mim. Ghulibatir Rum. The Romans have been defeated. And that's why this Surah Rum is coming in, the very first ayah. The Romans have been defeated in the nearer land, and they after their defeat will be victorious. Now comes in, after the defeat, Quran says in the nearer land, which means the Palestine, and they after their defeat, they will be victorious. Quran actually announces this. Within a few years, to Allah belongs the matters before and after, and on that day the believers will rejoice. So this ayah, which is ayat number 4 of Surah Rum, it contains not one but two predictions. One, that the Roman Christians will be victorious over these pagan Persians, and second, that Muslims will also be victorious, that Muslims will also will rejoice on that day. Now at that time, this prediction was like a fool's dream. Nothing less than a miracle, because Muslims were so far and so few, and the Christians had so badly been defeated that the Persians had completely conquered most of the Byzantine, the areas under Byzantine Empire. So when these verses were revealed, the disbelievers of Makkah made great fun of them. Ubay bin Ibn Khalaf, he was one of the Makkans, Kafir of Makkah. He bet Hazrat Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu 10 camels. Later, Hazrat Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu increased his bet to 100 camels. And he extended the time to initially from 3 years to 10 years, that within 10 years, the Byzantines will be successful. And this became true within 10 years. And Hazrat Abu Bakr, after Fatah Makkah, took 100 camels from this person. He had died, but his inheritors were there, and then he gave them away as charity. With Allah's help, He helps whomsoever He wills, and He is the mighty, the merciful. It is a promise of Allah. Allah does not fail His promise, but most people do not know. They know something superficial of the worldly life, but are heedless of the hereafter. Again, a beautiful ayat. People only see the apparent portion of the worldly life. It seems that life has actually two distinct parts. One is the apparent and the other one is the hidden. Appearance can be sometimes very deceptive, because as they say in English, all that glitters is not gold, maybe just an illusion. Now when people begin to think that peace and happiness is in material and glamour, then they begin to neglect the higher aims of life, which is peace, which is love, which is freedom, character building, having good moral, having good akhlaq, and they try and look for fulfillment in the apparent, while there is no fulfillment in the apparent. Did they not reflect in their own selves? Allah did not create the heavens and the earth and what is between them, but with a just cause and for an appointed time. Yet many of the people are disbelievers about meeting with their Lord. Have we ever really, if we really reflect on this ayah, that everything is there for an appointed time and everything is just. Hence we need to really think, have we really spent time trying to beautify our amal, to try to decorate our amal? Have we ever thought that our amal will also be displayed on this particular day, that this is the day when all our amal will be visible? Have they not traveled on the earth to see how many
have they not traveled on the earth to see how was the end of those before them? They were stronger than these in power, and they had plowed the land and had made it more populous than these have made it, and their messengers had come to them with clear proof. But it was not Allah who wronged them, but they wronged their own selves. So many nations who have passed away, they made their dunya very comfortable. Now here, comfortable doesn't mean peaceful. These are two separate things. Comfort doesn't mean peace. Like criminals may be very comfortable. They may have a very comfortable home, but a criminal is never peaceful because he's always tense and he's always nervous. He's always on the edge. So he's never at peace. And the same thing is true for sinners. So in societies where crime is common, they can never be peaceful societies. Similarly, societies where sin is common can never be peaceful societies. But the issue is that people don't want to accept this because they don't want to face the reality, and as a result they drown themselves in things like music, drugs, alcohol, never to achieve tranquility. Right? Because these things can give no peace, they can only give a hangover. Then the end of those who did evil was evil because they rejected the verses of Allah and used to make mockery of them. Allah originates the creation, then He recreates it, then to Him are you to be returned. So the denial of resurrection is necessary. Otherwise, it will be so difficult for people to sin. When you have a fear of punishment, it even causes the pleasure of the sin to be lost. On the day when the hour will come, the guilty will be taken aback in grief and despair. So they will feel totally helpless, devoid of hope, because people will not be able to give justification of why they kept sinning in this world. There will be such people who are sinners in this world. They will be mayus from the rahmat of Allah, never cared about Allah while they were in this world. They will also be mayus of entering into paradise because that was never their aim in this world while they were living. They will have no intercessors from among their partners of Allah, and they themselves will reject their partners. And the day when the hour will come, it will be on that day that they will turn into separate groups. So this Quran says that now the polarization time has come. When the hour will set, people will be divided into different groups. The Mu'min and Kafirs will be separated forever. This will be a permanent separation. Now, someone who understands this particular ayah, you really need to think about this ayah. He cannot remain indifferent towards those people whom he loves. Now, there are people in our family whom we love. Now, and it's a great desire inside all of us that we are even together in paradise. That wife and husband and children and parents and our friends and our brothers and sisters and relatives, all of us, that we are together in paradise. How can we remain indifferent and unconcerned when we see these people whom we want that they should be our companions in paradise, when we see them walking towards a pit of fire? Will we not try our utmost to stop them, to change their path? Certainly we will. And that's the reason that on this day when the separation between Mu'min and Kafir takes place, we want all those people who are near and dear to us to be part of the group that we belong, which is the part of the Mu'mins. Then those who had believed and done righteous deeds, they will be in garden extremely delighted. Now when we go to some good place or some of the best place, we enjoy these places when we have good company. Many times you would actually not enjoy a meal which may be very good and maybe in the best hotel, a 5-star hotel. You don't enjoy it because you don't have company, you're all alone by yourself. When you're traveling on business and you have these meals, you don't enjoy them. You need your friends, you need your family, you need all these members with us, and that's the time when you begin to enjoy everything. Same will be true in paradise. As for those who had disbelieved and rejected our verses and the meeting of the hereafter, they will be brought for punishment. Now it's very interesting that Quran, when it talks of Iman, it's always coupled with Amal Saleh, that Iman and good deeds are together. But when Quran talks of Kufr, it talks about Kufr alone, because Kufr alone is enough to poison everything. So proclaim Allah's purity when you enter the evening and when you enter the morning. So referring to the evening prayers and referring to the morning prayers. And to him belongs the praise in the heavens and the earth, and in the afternoon, and when you are at the midday. So remembering Allah at all time, morning, evening, afternoon, at night. He brings out the living from the dead and brings out the dead from the living and gives life to the land after its death. In a similar way, you will be brought out. So from the non-living things, life emerges. We see this phenomena. From an egg, what comes out? A living chicken. Quite extraordinary. And that's what Allah tells over here. In a similar way, Allah is also going to take us, give us back life after our death. It is among His signs that He has created you from dust. Then soon you are human beings scattered. Think about yourself, what you were 50 years ago, 40 years, 30 years, what you were. Nothing but dust. And suddenly you are, and all these human beings are scattered. وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ أَنْ خَلَقَ لَكُم مِّنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ أَزْوَاجًا لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُم مَّوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَاتٍ لِقَوْمٍ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ. And it is among His signs that He has created for you spouses from among yourselves, so that you may find tranquility in them, and He has created love and compassion between you. Surely in this there are signs for people who reflect. Now this ayat really defines the purpose of marriage. The purpose of marriage is what? Companionship and peace. And I think we all know people who are married, the greatest sukoon one gets is with one spouse. Even in paradise, a spouse was needed. The first relationship that was created was that of a wife. So when Hazrat Adam alayhi salam was placed in paradise, he had everything that he desired was there in paradise available for him. Yet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knew that there is one need which also must be fulfilled, and that was the need of a companionship. Hence Allah created a companion for him. Now, there's a huge difference between a relationship of a husband and wife and any other relationship. Huge difference. And you see the reflection of this in the relationship that our Prophet ﷺ had with his wife Hazrat Khatija Raziyallahu Anha. What a relationship that was. It was a gold standard that was set in over there. Now, Quran also towards the end, it says that Allah has also created, وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُمْ مَوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً, that He has created love and compassion between you. Suddenly this love is there for two strange people who don't know each other. Quran mentions this love and companionship, and that starts on straight away between a husband and a wife, and marriage creates such an important and such a beautiful relationship. And among His signs are creation of heavens and the earth, and the diversity of languages and color. Surely in this there are signs for a people having knowledge. So it's amazing to see how many languages Allah has created in this world. All languages are created by Allah. No language is superior or inferior. They're just a means of expression. And among His signs is your sleep by the night, and the day for your seeking His bounty. Surely in this there are signs for people who listen. Listen to this ayat. Sleep when it's night, go to sleep at night. People have made this whole system upside down. They actually remain awake all night and then sleep all day. The Quran says quite on the contrary, that sleep is there, night is made for your sleep. There are so many benefits in sleep. And then there are benefits in being awake in the morning, seek bounties of Allah. And these are not the same thing. Night and day are not the same thing. Each has its own benefits. It is among His signs that He shows you the lightning which causes fear and hope, and He sends down water from the sky, then He revives the earth with it after its death. Surely in this there are signs for people who understand. And it is among His signs that the sky and the earth stands firm by His command. Then when He will call you with a call, lo and behold, from the earth you will emerge. So Allah is holding this whole universe, this whole heavens and the earth. And when He wants, Qiyamah will occur. And when He calls everyone, lo and behold, all of us will emerge out from this earth. To Him belongs all that is in the heavens and the earth. All of them are obedient to Him. So everything is obedient to Allah, and as long as they are following the laws and are obedient, they are useful. It is He who originates the creation, then reproduces it, and it is easy for Him. And His are the most exalted attributes in the heavens and the earth, and He is the mighty, the wise. Everything is with a purpose and has a path to follow. all that is created will eventually die. The only difference being is that man will be, after death, will be raised up again, because he is the only creation that has been given the freedom of choice. We have a choice to accept, we have a choice to be obedient, and a choice to be disobedient. Rest, all the creations are compulsory Muslims. They are always obedient, they have to be obedient, and they have no choice. Man has a choice, and that's the reason he will be raised up again and get a reward or punishment. He sets forth for you a similitude from yourself. Do you have from among your slaves any partner in what we have given to you for sustenance? So are they and you equal in it? And so as you fear them like you fear each other. This is how we explain the signs for a people who understand. Simple negation of shirk. No one makes a servant equal to himself. We do not share everything with our servants. How do we expect Allah to tolerate that others are made His partners in His kingdom? But the wrongdoers have followed their low desires without knowledge. So who can guide the one whom Allah leaves astray? For such people there are no helpers. So shirk, Quran says, this is just following the low desires, because shirk is so exploitative in its nature. So set your face to the faith upright. This faith being the nature designed by Allah, on which He has created mankind. There is no change in Allah's creation. That is the right religion, but most of people do not know. This deen, this Islam, this belief in Allah, this is there. This is, our genes are programmed in it. This is God-given. This is gene-given to us. Deen is a way of life. A lot of these things are ingrained in our nature. The recognition of Allah, the desire for goodness, the morality, giving respect, giving izzah to other people, what is right and wrong. Part of our morality, we don't need any religion for this to tell us what is right and wrong. To lie is bad, and to be honest is good. You don't need any religion for this. All these things people know. This is designed, Allah has designed this inside mankind. Turning totally towards Him and fear Him and establish salah, and do not be among those who associated partners with Allah. Among those who split up their religions and become sects, each group is rejoicing in what they have with them. So when the relationship with Allah weakens out, and it happens, and a person becomes more important, a person has more pull, his personality pulls people, then the balance of the society and the balance of a group of people, it gets disturbed. And what comes in? Instead of worship of Allah, personality worship begins. Personality, and groups are formed. Each group assumes that what they have is the entire religion, and no need to seek the truth. And people become proud, and they become haughty, and they become self-righteous. When people are visited by some affliction, they invoke their Lord with exclusive concentration on Him. Then once He has given them a taste of His mercy, a group of them start at once ascribing partners to their Lord. So when there is difficulty, everyone turns to Allah. When things are at ease, life is good, they think it is due to their own hard work, and then there is no shukr. And that's the complaint of Allah, that in good time people forget Allah, and in bad time they always call to Him. So as to become ungrateful for what we gave to them, so enjoy yourself, then you will soon come to know. Is it that we have sent down to them any authority that speaks to them about their associating partners with Him? All kufr, all shirk, this is self-created. This is without any authority from Allah. When we gave people a taste of mercy, they are happy with it. And if they are touched by an evil because of what their hands sent ahead, behold, they are in despair. Did they not see that Allah extends provision to whomsoever He wills and restricts? Surely in this there are signs for a people who believe. Everything is in the hands of Allah. All sustenance is in His hand. We need to put our trust in Him, and that's the thing that we need to be doing. So give to the near relatives his due. Give to the near relative his due, and to the needy and the wayfarer. That is better for those who seek Allah's pleasure, and it is they who will be successful. So without expecting reward, give to people. Fulfill their needs. Help your relatives. Helping relatives is the fastest way to transform any society. And when I say help, it's not just with wealth and money, but help them with time, give them good advice, give them counsel, give them guidance, do all these things. This is also sharing with people. Whatever you give in interest so that it may add in the property of people, it does not increase with Allah, and whatever you give in charity seeking Allah's pleasure with it, it is such people who shall get manifold. So this is the earliest and the first hukum on riba and interest. It says when you take interest, it doesn't really increase in property of people. It's the charity which actually increases. Allah is the one who created you, then gave sustenance to you, then He will cause you to die, then He will bring you to life. Is there any of your associate God who does any of these things? Pure is He and far above that what they associate. So ayat really telling us, just depend on Allah. Really depend on Allah. ظهر الفساد في البر والبحر بما كسبت أيدي الناس ليذيقهم بعض الذي عملوا لعلهم يرجعون. Corruption has appeared on the land and the sea because of what the hands of people have earned, so that He may make them taste some of what they did, in order that they may return. So this ayat talks of fasad. Zahar al-fasadu, that fasad has appeared on the land and the sea. So fasad as a pollution. Think of fasad as a pollution that has appeared in this world. Purity has receded. Now this ayat is almost like describing the modern man's scourge, the environmental pollution that's surrounding us, and because of what our hands have have earned. Every creature, from a bird to a butterfly, from an animal to an insect, to sea life, is paying a very heavy price for this massive industrial progress, the wasteful consumption that is there, the chemicals that we are constantly dumping, the CO2 that is being released in the atmosphere. So that's one fasad that Quran talks about. Then there is also a moral fasad, taking people away from religion, reducing man to the level of an animal. These are also corruptions that are there. Say, travel in the land and see how was the end of those who were before. Most of them were idolaters. Now this ayat, as we are doing Surah Rome, if you look at the history of the Roman Empire, you will find Romans were such corrupt people. They had such wasteful life. They had really created pollution in breathtaking proportions. They were the first people to use lead utensils for keeping wine, which produced huge amount of toxicity, and it impacted the brains of people. They were the people who had these useless sports like the gladiators and all these things, killing people for just for enjoyment. Then set your faces to the right religion before there comes from Allah a day which cannot be avoided. On the day the people will be separated. So hisab will be there for everything. Every resource that has been given to us, the more we have, the more hisab we have to give. So please remember, avoid any form of waste. Even the simplest form of waste you must avoid. Whoever disbelieves, his unbelief will be against him, and whoever acts righteously, then such people are paving the path for themselves. So people disbelieve. If people disbelieve, well, it's their own funeral. They will bear the consequences of that. So that Allah may give reward out of His grace to those who believe and do righteous deeds. Surely He does not love the disbelievers. And among His signs is that He sends winds giving good news, and so that He gives you the taste of His mercy, and that the ships may sail with His command, and that you may search for His guidance, and you may be grateful. So these natural phenomena, Quran talks of this wind, that He sends the wind as good news. Again, winds are so important for us, for our planet. They change weather, they bring rain, they're useful for pollination of flowers and fruits and everything. And this is just a taste of Allah's mercy. Just a taste. The real mercy of Allah will be in paradise. We had indeed sent before you messengers from their people, so they came to them with clear proof. Then we took vengeance upon those who were guilty, and it was due on us to help the believers. This last part of this ayat is so heartening. It's so heartening that it was due on us to help the believer. A hope that Allah will always help. This is a hope we must have. Allah will always help the true believers. Allah is the one who sends the wind, so they stir up a cloud, and then He spreads it in the sky. however He wills, and makes it split into pieces. Then you see the rain coming out of its midst. So once He makes it reach those whom He wills from His slave, they start rejoicing in it, even though they were absolutely hopeless before it was sent down to them. So what a beautiful phenomenon this rain is. It's a great rahmat of Allah, and especially when the summers are long and they're dragging and people say, oh, now there's going to be no rain, oh, the monsoons have missed us, and no, this is just the heat, no rain. And then suddenly it starts to rain, and how much rejoicing there is in the hearts of people. So look at the effect of Allah's mercy, how He gives life to the earth after death. Surely that is the one who will give life to the dead, and He has power to do everything. So like rain gives life to the dead earth, similarly Quran's revelations are rain for the dead heart and for the dead soul. When the revelations are absorbed, like when rainwater is absorbed, only then life rejuvenates. And same thing is true for Quran, that this must be absorbed in our hearts for our dead soul to become alive. Should we send a harmful wind and they see it turning yellow, then they will turn ungrateful. So, nature of people is that they very easily fall in despair. We are very quick in losing hope. If rain comes, people rejoice. So there are good times and there are difficult times. When difficult times are there, people lose hope. They have a despair. Nothing right is going to take place. And but difficult times come and good times come, like summers come and cold winters come. This is part of changing pattern in the weather and also lives of people. So you cannot make the dead to hear, nor can you make the deaf to hear the call when they turn their backs in retreat. Describing those who do not believe in the book of Allah and do not believe in His revelation, then obviously you can, if they are deaf to the call and they turn their back, it's hard to call them back. Nor can you guide the blind out of their error. You can make none to listen except those who believe in our signs, hence they submit. Allah is the one who created you in a state of weakness, and then He created strength after weakness, then created weakness and old age after strength. He creates what He wills, and He is all-knowing, all-powerful. This is a natural process that we see in life, from weakness as a child, as a baby, to strength when we become young, and again to this weakness as we become old. And on the day when the hour will take place, the sinners will swear that they did not remain more than an hour. In a similar way, they were deluded. As for those who were given knowledge and belief, they will say, you remain by Allah's decree until the day of resurrection. So this is the day of resurrection, but you did not know it. So describing those people who reach Allah ill-prepared, people who had knowledge and faith, they start to prepare for this meeting while they are living in this world. So on the day, their apologies will not benefit the wrongdoers, nor will they be allowed to make amends. Time up, no change possible now, too late, it needs to be done now. We are lucky to be still alive and understand and amend and make changes in our lives. And indeed, we have given in this Quran all kind of examples for the benefit of mankind. Still, if you bring to them a sign, the disbelievers will certainly say, you are nothing but a false claimant. So this ayat describing over here that those who want to follow falsehood, they negate and reject the very people who want to give them guidance. Thus Allah seals up the hearts of those who do not know. So be patient. Last ayat of this Surah Rum. So be patient. Surely Allah's promise is true, and let not the disbelievers shake your firmness. Keep doing the good work. Keep at it even if the results are not apparent. Even if no change is observed. Be firm. Don't let your faith be shaken by the disbelievers. Now we are going to also begin with Surah Luqman. We are going to do only few ayahs of Surah Luqman, just 11 ayahs. Now Surah Luqman, obviously it's a name. Who was Luqman? We are going to discuss this later on. But like we have Solomon's wisdom in the Western world, famous Solomon's wisdom, and the similar thing in Arabs is the wisdom of Luqman. So what Confucius is to the Chinese, Luqman was to the Arabs. So he was a man of great wisdom and still being quoted. So A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, the most beneficent, the most merciful. Alif Lam Mim. Tilka ayatul kitabil hakim. These are the verses of the wise book. Immense wisdom. in this book, from mind to soul. This book will give food for every human aspect. Nothing in this book is vain, nothing in this book is useless. It is only for the betterment of our deen and betterment of our dunya. A guidance and a mercy for those who are good in their deeds, who are steadfast in salah and who pay zakat and have faith in the hereafter. Faith is such an important ingredient. The basic pillars being described over here, the basic guidelines being described of Islam, unless first and foremost is the firm belief in the hereafter, then namaz and zakat. If there is no belief, if the belief is questionable in the hereafter in Allah, then namaz and zakat will be reduced to nothing but a ritual, just to pacify the soul. Those who are given guidance from their Lord, it is those who are successful. There is a man among people who buys discourse of distracting amusement so that he may mislead people from the way of Allah without knowledge and make a mockery of it. For such people there is a disgraceful punishment. The word used over here is a man who buys lahw al-hadith. The word in Arabic is lahw al-hadith. Lahw al-hadith is anything that absorbs and allures the listener, completely making him heedless of everything around him. Now this is what some kuffar in Makkah used to do. They would arrange for these tale-telling parties, storytelling parties, to distract people from the Quran, divert their attention with these stories. They would even get these singing girls to come and entertain people so that people don't go and listen to the Quran, and that's what Quran describes over here. And when our verses are recited to him, he turns away in arrogance as if he did not hear them, as if there is heaviness in his ears. So give him the good news of a painful punishment. Surely for those who believe and do righteous deeds, there are gardens of bliss in which they will live forever, an absolute promise of Allah. He is the mighty, the wise. He has created the skies without pillar that you may see, and placed mountains in the earth lest it shakes with you, and spread over it all kinds of creatures. And we have sent down water from the sky and caused to grow in it every noble pears. So the last ayat of this evening from Surah Luqman, Haza khalqullahi fa'aruni maza khalaqal lazina min dunihi baliz zalimuna fi zalalim mubin. This is creation of Allah. Now show me what is created by those besides Him. Rather, the transgressors are in open error. So this ayat actually reminding people towards the signs of Allah that are spread all around us, His magnificent creation, the creation of universe, the world around us. Look at them and recognize the might and the majesty of the Creator. So barakallahu lana wa lakum fil Quran al-Azim wa nafana wa iyyakum bil ayati wa zikril hakim.